Hey guys, it's Audra, and today we're going to be doing another book review. I'm pretty excited about telling you about this book, not only because I enjoyed it, but because this is the first video in a video trilogy. Now, the books I will be discussing themselves are not a trilogy, but they're probably 3 books you've heard of in connection to each other. So let's get started, and I will explain everything. So this last month, I read Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. And Gillian Flynn has 3 really popular books right now. Dark Places being the second novel that she wrote. Sharp Objects and Gone Girl are the other 2. Now, these 3 books are not related as far as same characters and that kind of thing. I do believe that they all take place in Kansas. That is where Gillian Flynn, the author, is from, so that would make sense. And they're all crime, drama, mysteries. So that's kind of what they have to do with each other. I believe that all 3 of these books are being turned into movies. I know Dark Places is, and I know one of the other 2 is. I'm not sure if all 3, but I believe so. So I had read the synopsis for Dark Places a while back, and it sounded right up my alley, just like something else I wanted to read. Now, I did not know the connection between the other 2 books, so I read it not knowing that the author had 2 other books that were on bestseller list, written in different, Dark Places was not the first one she wrote. So I probably, had I known that before I started reading it, would have read whichever one came first. I'm not sure which one that is at this point, but I probably would have read them in order as to which they were wrote. But it doesn't matter. Like I said, they're not connected. So what I'm going to be doing is today we're going to cover Dark Places, and then in a few weeks you will see video number 2, which will cover probably Sharp Objects, but maybe Gone Girl, and then 3 will cover the last one. So I haven't totally decided which one I'm going to be reading next, but something for sure. So I looked up some information that I may have not known about the book before reading it, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you before I kind of got into what I thought about the book. So Dark Places is a mystery novel by Gillian Flynn that was published in 2009. The novel deals with class issues of rural America, intense poverty, and the satanic cult hysteria that swept the nation in the 1980s. Dark Places was shortlisted for the Crime Writers Association Ian Fleming Steel Dagger Award. That's a really long name for an award. And won the Dark Scribe Magazine Black Quill Award for Dark Genre Novel of the Year. It was also listed on the New York Times bestseller list for hardcover fiction for 2 consecutive weeks. So that's just a little tidbit of information. Now, like I mentioned, this book is being turned into a film. I believe it's scheduled to come out in 2014. In fact, that's how I heard about this book, it was on a list of books you should read before the movie comes out, which I love those lists because I always say that I love to read books before they're turned into movies so that I can go see the movie and hate it, right? Isn't that always how it goes? So this book I thought was very interesting. I love a nice crime drama. I love murder mystery. So this book, the way it was written, was something I definitely had to get used to. So this book follows the life of Libby Day. And Libby Day is a woman now in her 30s. But when she was young, her whole family was murdered, except her and her brother Ben. And she later testified that she witnessed Ben killing her family. So Ben has been in jail since then. And she has gone on living her life. She hasn't really made much of herself, and she kind of is one of those characters you really hate. And not in the way like you hate him at the beginning and you grow to love him. I was so irritated with this character, but I think that's how you're supposed to feel. I don't think you're really supposed to like her. Maybe you are. I don't know. I did not. So I really don't think you're supposed to, though. So in the book, as it goes to specific writing styles, it flips back and forth. So you start the book and it's narrated by Libby in present day. And then every other chapter from there on flip-flops. And it goes to when the murder happened. And I believe that it covers that day. Maybe the evening beforehand. And the rest of the day. But it's a very short span of time that's covered in those chapters. And so each chapter it's narrated by a third party, and we see a different person in each chapter and what went on with them that day. So you learn the full story of the day that the murders occurred. Now, that was hard for me to get used to, especially at first, because I kept it kept confusing me, like who was narrating and what, but you catch on very quickly as to what's happening. But just be forewarned, that happens. It's kind of like the Divergent series, where the third book all of a sudden is narrated by two people instead of just the main character, which I get why they did it. If you haven't read that series, like it's weird that they change it, but you get why at the end. But I hated it. Oh my gosh, it drove me crazy. Okay, anyway, let's go back to Dark Places. So that kind of drove me a little bit crazy. I like a nice fluidity when I'm reading. So that's my first complaint about this book. I understand why the author did it that way, which makes me accept it. But just personal preference, I like a smooth read. So in every other chapter, we're following a different character to find out what really happened on that day. If Ben really committed the murder or if somebody else did. And you see all of the characters. There were two sisters who were murdered. The mom, an aunt, Ben, Libby. I believe those are the only characters we kind of follow. And the two girls we don't see that much. So then, on the present day side of it, we have Libby, who has run out of money, has never had a job, and is really kind of given up on life. And she is approached by a man who would like to, well, she's approached. She receives a letter from a man and who wants to ask her some questions. And for some reason, she does end up calling him and meets him and finds out that he is a part of this kill club. And what the kill club likes to do is investigate these high profile murders. And they're kind of obsessed with them. So he convinces her to help them kind of get down to the truth, because he believes that she can talk to people that he won't be able to. And that they'll open up more to her because of who she is. So Libby is broke and needs the money and agrees to do it because he is going to pay her. So that kind of sets up your story. Libby then begins to help him investigate by talking to her dad, who's another character that we've seen. She goes to the prison and talks to her brother. She meets with these other members of the kill club to see what they see. And it really opens up her eyes as to what happened and how it affected her and how it is still affecting her in the future. Now, I don't want to give away the ending. Obviously, this isn't anything like The Perks of Being a Wallflower, where I can tell you the story without it ruining the book for you, because I don't want to give away the ending. I like when a murder mystery comes full circle, where once you find out the ending and the truth, you can piece back together like, oh, this is how it happened. That's cool. That's great. This does do that, which I like that. Like, I like that we can see the transition and we can see where it's all coming from. However, it does it really casually. It's nothing like, the best way I can describe that like connection thing is The Sixth Sense. When they go back at the end and you find out that the little boy's been dead the whole time, and they show you like how it happened, like why you thought he was alive but he really wasn't, And no, not that the little boy, what? I haven't seen it in a while. That Bruce Willis character was dead the whole time. And that he was a ghost that the little boy was seeing. So that's super cool to me. And I like when books do that. Now, this one didn't, and like I said, it was very casually though. So I feel like it could have been done better. I don't know how, but I'm not an author, so that's not my job to know how. But I do definitely feel like it could have been done better. If you've read the book, definitely let me know down below. Don't give it away, but let me know, like, yeah, I think it could have been done better, or no, you love the ending, it was perfect, or you don't really care, it was a good book. It was a good book, so I don't want you to take my opinion on the ending and let it sway you not to read the book, because it was a very good book. I just wish we would have had a few like snippets here and there. Maybe there were and I missed them. That definitely is something that can happen. When I went back and reread The Hunger Games, I apparently had forgotten the entire second book except the main plot. The ending, like with the clock and the island situation. Other than that, I'd forgotten everything, which is the majority of the book. So I definitely could have missed things, but I don't think that I did. I'm usually pretty keyed in on that kind of stuff. So yeah. Overall, I would give this book probably about a 7.5 out of 10. I would take off a couple of points because the writing style made me crazy. I get it. That doesn't change the fact that it made me crazy. Like, maybe it all could have been narrated, and none of it by Libby, you know, so we would have had the same thing, and that's been done, you know, and it would have made it more flowing, but, and then I would take off a couple points because I would have wanted that connection to come back a little bit better. Like, I feel like it was very, like, you didn't pick up enough, like, details on the way around to the ending, you know what I'm saying? It was like, you were told something, and then, boom. Okay, cool. That's cool. So, 7.5 out of 10, though, isn't bad. There are definitely books that I have read an entire, like, trilogy of that I would give, like, a 2. So, 7.5 is really good for me. If you've not read any of the Gillian Flynn books, I would say get on that now so that you can, well, so that you can know what I'm talking about in future videos, or read this one and then wait till next month and read the next one if you think it's a good idea. But if you like a murder mystery, you will definitely like this book. So check out Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. And until next time, guys,